welcome back here to Kentucky Neckbeard here. I know I've been a little distant. We'll get to that in a moment. Happy Thanksgiving, gobble gobble. I'm going to break down the first 11 games of Kentucky's football season since I have not done a video. Post-game, pre-game, I've not done none of those videos. So we're going to get to that in just a moment.
Let me talk to you.
All right, guys. Welcome back. If you're new here, please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and share it with your friends. Much appreciated. I'm sorry to be so distant. I've been working a lot. Ain't really had a whole lot of time to sit down and do a video. I appreciate y'all's support. But let's get down to Kentucky's football season so far. With one game left on the season, of course, is at Louisville at noon kickoff Eastern time. But Kentucky got off to a 5-0, I guess, hot start, but not so hot. The offense has really struggled all year. Really has not been a sync. The defense has been up and down all year. And it just, if you really want to know my true opinion right now, after 11 games, is Mark Stoops, number one, is on the hot seat. And I love Mark Stoops. I actually love Mark Stoops. Like, I'm a Kentucky fan who does not, I'm like boycott basketball because I hate Calipari. And I'm getting to that point about the football season, the football program at the same time. Things have just got to change. From, defensive schemes to the way Kentucky runs their offense. I mean, because at this point, the offense, we're the slowest running offense in college football. We are the slowest. And that's ridiculous. When Liam Cohen was here the first time, we would line up at the line of scrimmage, see what the defense was giving us, and then call a play. And usually, we hike the ball, within seconds of seeing all this. I don't know if Leary just can't do that. I don't know. Number two, Kentucky had the running game going early on in the season. And once again, Georgia exposed our weaknesses offensively and defensively. And, well, Kentucky really struggled even more now. It happens every year. I get my hopes up. And it just, I believe in my heart that this is the year Kentucky, shocks the world. But that's not what I'm talking about. Early on, we had a lot of receivers. Dane Key and Barryon Brown was our two big name returning wide receivers. Both of them true sophomores. And early on, they both had drop passes. They really weren't very productive. Tavion Robinson was kind of non-existent. I don't know really what's going on with Kel Karitis. I thought he was going to be, wide receiver forward. He got DUI in the offseason, and he ain't really seen the field much. But Brown Stevens, I think his first name is Anthony. Not 100% sure. He's on the field. It hasn't been very productive either. He's had some big drop passes. That's what killed Kentucky's passing game at the beginning of the season. We had the run game going. I mean, we ran for over 300 yards in Florida. But the one thing I kept saying during that game, I was at the game, I kept saying was Kentucky needs to get the pass game going against Florida. Because we had Georgia the following week. We really hadn't had a passing game all year. And here's a stat for you that is still right now. We've only hit one big shot play on first down, meaning 30, 40 yards passed down the field. We've hit that one time all year. I don't know the exact number, but we've tried it over 30 times, I guarantee it. And we've only hit it once. So, I mean, I'm a fan. So, I feel where Uncle Luke comes from because of it. I enjoy watching Kentucky football, but I'm so wrapped up in it that I'm critiquing the team play by play. And like, I'm just going to tell you right now, the first thing I can tell you is I think in all 11 games, on first down, our first possession has been run, pass. And every time it's been a 3-and-out for the most part. Every single 11 games. Run, pass, 3-and-out, giving the ball back to the offense. Sometimes we're down already. Sometimes defense is, we've had the ball first. Sometimes defense has already made a stop. But you can't do that. I mean, all you're doing, and I think this is part of Mark Stoops, why Stoops is just, I think Stoops has made the comment to Liam Cohen about running the ball, running the clock, not going too fast, so we don't get that defense right back out there on the field. But it's an issue. When I talk about Kentucky football, I hold them to the same standard that I see at Georgia. And I know we're not even on Georgia's level. But that's where we should be. We should not be getting blown out 51-13 by Georgia. Especially when the last, 6-7 years, Kentucky has played Georgia the closest for the most part. There's not been very many blowouts in that game. And the reason I compare Kentucky to Georgia is because Kirby Smart and Mark Stoops, at one point in time, were both two of the top 5 defensive coordinators in college football. I mean, that's what Kentucky got, was a top 5 defensive coordinator. And yet, when fucking Stoops came to Kentucky, he built Kentucky. We didn't have talent. We didn't even have good players. We won games by running the ball and playing good defense. Kirby Smart did what when he got to Georgia? Running the ball, defense. He built a program around defense and running the ball. I just feel like we've regressed here. I'm very upset that we lost to South Carolina. I mean, there's not much to talk about. I mean, game by game. Because, I mean, we got blown out by Alabama, too. I left that game in the third quarter, and it was like 35-14 or something. 35-7, matter of fact. 35-7 in the third quarter. I looked at my mom, who was at the game with me, and I said, I'm leaving. It wasn't even enjoyable to watch. And that was at home. That was at Kroger Field. If you want to be something, not everybody just don't overlook, that's Kentucky football. That's just little old Kentucky. I thought we were past that part. But this year, getting blown out by a really good Georgia team, a really good Alabama now, and I want to say we just caught Georgia at the bad time because Georgia had some bad performances and they turned it around on us because they looked really dominant since then. Alabama struggled early in the season, dropped one game to Texas, and then they come to Kroger Field. I was like, man, well, one thing we might lose this game, but we're not going to get blown out. That was my whole theory. Don't get blown out. I didn't think we were going to get blown out. And that game was 21-0 within 3 minutes of the game starting. I think it was a little more, but it felt like 3 minutes of the game starting. It was 21-0. I don't know. I mean, let's go back to the Georgia game. Kentucky got blown out by Georgia. Got that far behind the Georgia by making dumb plays. And really, there's a Kentucky sports radio host here who runs KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio. He has a Monday through Friday show, and his name is Matt Jones. Everybody's heard of him because he's all over the place. But Matt Jones flat out said this team has an ego, an undeserved ego and confidence, and think they deserve to be considered, top tier in the SEC. And for no reason. They haven't done nothing to earn that. And that's kind of like, it kind of makes sense to me now. Kentucky football program has this ego, but they haven't earned it. They have not earned it, because the Georgia game alone, which is what I'm talking about, it kind of goes hand in hand here. Kentucky goes down to Athens, and I think the spread was like 15 points. I'm not gonna lie. I convinced myself Kentucky had a chance down there of two things: of actually maybe beating Georgia, and two, covering that spread. That's the two things I thought. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I've been dead wrong about this season. As Kentucky is 6-5 right now, going into with one game left on the season at Louisville. A top 10 Louisville, not I add. We'll get to that in another video. And we go down there, and we don't play football. We play what's called bully ball. We're out there doing, making late blocks and falling on piles late, hitting people late, shoving people. I mean, we're there to fight, not play football. And that cost us that game. And we were just so undisciplined. So undisciplined. So I was like, you know what? Mark Stoops ain't going to let this happen again. We come out and we play Missouri. That game hurt me, because I really thought Kentucky was going to beat the living crap out of Missouri at Kroger Field. I didn't make the video. I just never had time to make the video. And I couldn't be more wrong. Kentucky got up 14-0. I was like, oh, Kentucky, we got the offense rolling now. We're doing things. And we're looking at a bye week after that game. We got 14-0, and then we just fall apart. Missouri just goes on and rattles off. I think it would end up being like 38-7 was the final score after the first quarter. Kentucky was up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. I thought we were going somewhere here. I thought we had something rolling. I could have been more wrong. They do a fake punt. I don't know. I've seen some replays. I was listening to the radio of that game, so I didn't actually watch it, so I've only seen the replays. Yeah, it may have been offensive pass interference, but that's what they were hollering for on the radio. But I think it could have kind of went both ways. But that from right then and there, that was a fake punt for a touchdown. That we let a punter throw a touchdown bomb. I think it's going to be 30-some yards. And that was the changing point of the game. Kentucky just laid over and quit. And then we got right back in the game. We're up 21-20 in the fourth quarter. People forget about that. Everybody thinks Missouri blew Kentucky out. They did, for the second quarter on, they did kind of on the scoreboard. But on the scoreboard, they did not blow us out. Kentucky actually had a 21-20 lead in the fourth quarter. And we just make dumb mistakes again. The defense, I don't know what the defense was doing. I don't know what the defense has been doing all year. And we just let them go down the field, and they scored. They go up 21-20. Next thing you know, it's fucking 28-20. Then it's fucking 31-20. Then it's 38-20. It's over. Now, I actually want to say Kentucky scored again, but it was just too late. And we just let it get out of hand. And that's just the season. We come after a bye week and play Tennessee really, really good. Defense, not so much, but offense looked good. I was like, oh, hey, all right, man, now we're going to turn some things around. We ain't really had a running game since the Georgia game. And I'm just going to drop going the game-by-game stuff now. It's ridiculous. We'll just go to South Carolina now. So that was the last game. Carolina jackpot. Congratulations on your win. You hate Kentucky. I know this. I hate South Carolina. But, I mean, that's just because of the close games we play. But, I predicted Kentucky losing to Georgia and South Carolina in regular season. I thought we were going 10-2. I really thought we had a chance to knock off Alabama. I thought Alabama would have a different season. But I thought we had a chance to knock off Alabama only because it was at Kroger Field. And I was wrong. And I give you all y'all credit. Missouri, congrats on the big win. You know, Georgia, I mean, I knew we were going to lose that game. Number one, you're playing the defending champs in Athens. I mean, we haven't won down there. The last time we won against Georgia was like 2008 at Athens. It may have been longer than that, but it was something like that. And that took a ball bouncing in our favor for that to happen. And I just thought, I'm just going to talk about the team now. And what's wrong with this team? Number one, to throw the ball the way we're trying to throw the ball, you got to have a deep threat. You got to have something going. You got to hit some deep passes. And like I said earlier in this video, we've only hit a deep pass one time all year on first down. I think maybe 5 times all year we've hit a pass over 30 yards. I mean, everything we try to do is screen passes and short slants, and it doesn't work. And then we try to run the ball, but the problem with trying to run the ball is these teams they're literally lining up 11 men in the box, pretty much. There's 11 men, not 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Their safeties are playing 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. And we're trying to run the ball straight up the middle or outside. I mean, you can't do that. It's not going to work until you hit something deep down the field. A deep passing game complements a short passing game and complements the run game. A run game complements the pass and complements the damn passing game. You know, everything just goes together, hand in hand. And I really think it's a stupid problem because when we go hurry up, we start hitting. We start hitting these passes. We get going. We're moving the ball. And yeah, the defense is not on the sideline very long, but you're putting points up on the board. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched an away game on my phone, or even when I've been at home. I watched that away game on the TV. It doesn't matter. I watched it on somewhere, and the commentators have flat out said, I don't know why Kentucky takes so long to get set at the line of scrimmage and then hike the ball. They're running slow. Snap the ball, not hike, but you know what I mean. And before they even attempt to move the ball. It's ridiculous. And they're just, the commentators see it. That's the problem. And they're like, they're such a much better offense when they run with tempo. And I'm not saying they got to, line up at the line of scrimmage and see what the defense is giving them before, calling the play. But, every now and again, sending 2 or 3 plays in and just running them, or, hey, let's get a play here, line right back up, you get up on the ball, we'll see what we got, and then we'll call play. Let's do something. I mean, you could do that, and then run 2 or 3 times like that, and then cut it back and start huddling up a little bit, and then. But you got to play with a little bit of more pace. You got to. That's offensive problems. When we're trying to run the ball way too much. We're trying to force a run. We're trying to force a short passing game, but we don't have nothing to go over the top for these defenses. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff is drop passes or Devin Leary actually not being inaccurate. But something got to give. Because we're in week 11 now. Now let's go to my defensive side of the ball. And I've been hearing this a little more all year, throughout the year. Kentucky's playing a defense that's outdated. It's kind of what Cal's problem was. I really think my emotions tell me to fire Stoops. The problem is we owe him like $70 million buyout. He has a same amount of buyout as fucking Jimbo Fisher, and done less. I mean, but we love him here in Kentucky. And me personally, I just think Kentucky needs to look at Stoops and this coaching staff need to sit back and look themselves in the mirror and make changes. Either get a new defensive coordinator, fire Brad White. I've been about that for a while now this year. Fire Brad White, but we got to do something different because this whole three defensive linemen, three down linemen, and then we're playing the four linebackers. It's like a nickel concept. It's hurting us. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody has injuries, so we can't use that excuse. Everybody is beat up and banged up, and I'm so tired of hearing let's get back to work. Number 3, the worst. This is by far the worst I've seen Kentucky. Undisciplined, making stupid penalties. I mean, this is by far the worst under Stoops of being undisciplined and the most penalties in a season. And we still got one game left. I mean, this is just. I don't know if this team just isn't gelling. I mean, there's talks. There's serious talks right now of Kentucky losing. They're Barryon Brown, who is a 5-star wide receiver out of Nashville, Tennessee. You don't think Tennessee wants him? You don't think Tennessee wanted him? You know how he got to Kentucky? Playing time. Early playing time. We needed wide receivers. Dane Key, a 4-star wide receiver out of Lexington, Kentucky. His dad played at Kentucky. I mean, they're these guys. You don't think like he. I mean, his final 3 picks, his final 3 schools were South Carolina, Kentucky, and Michigan, and he chose Kentucky over South Carolina and Michigan. I don't know if it's a legacy thing. I don't really know why he chose Kentucky, but this. And then we got Deion Walker on the defensive side. Our big nose guard, we line him at defensive end now. We've been lining him up this year at defensive end, defensive tackle. It doesn't matter. I mean, the way the record is right now, I'd be surprised we keep these teams, these players. I mean, it's just. I mean, you got Dekel Kreinis. Like I mentioned him earlier. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know, but I mean, he was set to be, line up at wide receiver 4, right behind Tavion Robinson. That was where he was at on the depth chart. He got DUI, and that's kind of when Brown Stevens passed him, apparently. I mean, we ain't seen a whole lot of him this year at all on the field. And I mean, I want to say he was a 3-star, but he's talented. Other schools wanted him. I'm sure other schools still want him. They probably want, all these schools. These kids were not going to keep him here, doing this stuff. And I guess I might as well just address it. Mark Stoops, after the Georgia game, in his Monday morning press conference, well, actually, I think it was on his radio show, actually. A fan called in and asked him why is there such a big gap between Georgia and Kentucky? And he kind of referenced the fact that Georgia pays their players to come there, and if we wanted that, we need to pony up. At the time, I thought he was sending a message to his players, his teams, his players, his team, his program. I guess I've been kind of convinced otherwise now. And maybe, just maybe, that's hitting home to some of these players that they're not good enough, and that we need fans to bring in more money, donate more money, so we can get better players to replace some of these guys. maybe not. I don't know. I don't. Mark Stoops was asked about it at the press conference Monday, and he just he said what he kind of answered, gave the coach the answer, I guess. He was just telling the fans the truth and what they really need, and da-da-da-da. I mean, last I knew, Kentucky had a top 25 recruiting class for next year set up. And even during all this horrible season, we continue to get good players, which are considered good recruits. I think a lot of that is because of Kentucky standard. I mean, our radio show, they think our 10-2, our 10-3 seasons are just, we had one of those seasons, kind of a once in a lifetime thing. But we went 10-3, then 4-5. We ended up being 5. I mean, we played 10 games that year in COVID. We won 5 games COVID year. Well, we won 4. Or something, I don't remember. We went like 5-5 in the SEC. And that year was kind of weird. We got a bowl game, and we ended up beating, I don't remember who we beat. We beat maybe Virginia Tech or somebody. But other than that, we had a 10-3 that COVID year, and then we had another 10-3 season. And last year, we went I think we were 7-5 in the finish the season 7-6. But lost to Iowa at the League City Bowl. I mean, right now, if we beat Louisville, and if you look at everything, it's kind of a big if. Kentucky's a 7.5-point favorite underdog. I almost said favorite. God did say favorite. But anyways, underdog at Louisville. I'm going to make another video about that game, so I'll save the rest of that for that. But, I mean, right now the problem is, even for what in-state kids we do have in Kentucky, Louisville's a hotter program right now. They're getting the national exposure. They're in the top 10 of the college football, CFP playoff, poll. They're in that. I may think it's unwelcoming. I think it's a little over the top, considering what the ACC is. I mean, because ACC is nothing but the SEC, where you got Georgia, maybe Alabama, and then everybody else. I'm sorry, guys. That's just what it is. You got Georgia, Alabama, and then the rest of the SEC. The rest of it. And then you got the ACC, which pretty much is Florida State and everybody else. But Louisville's in that tier right now because they only got one loss. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video. But I just don't think it's very welcoming. Because the best win is against Notre Dame at home. I think that Notre Dame team overlooked them. Looking ahead to USC. I mean, Notre Dame hasn't really been all that great going down the stretch either. But then they turned around and lost to a terrible Pitt team. A terrible Pitt team. So I don't care if they're in the ACC championship game or not. Louisville is not making the playoffs at all. And you really want to know my projections for the college football playoffs? If you're making this far, because I'm going to 30 minutes in, it's going to be Georgia number 1. I think Michigan beats Ohio State, so I think Michigan. And I think Washington, number 3. And number 4, I'm not writing Florida State off if they can win the ACC championship, go undefeated. But, they got a quarterback issue right now. I mean, at the same time, they may not even be Washington. It could be Oregon. And I don't know, man. If Alabama beats Michigan, beats Georgia in the SEC championship, I mean, you got Georgia 1, Alabama 4. And then the winner of the Oregon-Washington game, number 3. The Ohio State-Michigan winner this week, probably number 2. I mean, so you really want to know my actual pick? I'm going to say, look, I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and fourth one, maybe Florida State. I mean, it's going to be hard to keep an undefeated ACC team out. Even if they are,
Speed limit reduced ahead.
What Nashville? Even if it isn't, welcome.
Left onto I-24 East.
That's west, by the way.
Speed warning.
But and that's just. I just think Kentucky this offseason, we need to beat Louisville this weekend. Go to our bowl game, get the 15 extra practices, and because that'll do a lot for this program. And look, and then the coaching staff needs to take a long, good, hard look at themselves in the mirror this offseason, and rethink and reevaluate their coaching, because right now we don't. It's not a player problem. I don't really think we have a player problem. We might have some turmoil in the locker room. I mean, some teams have that though. A lot of teams have that, I should say. But some teams are just built to face adversity a little better, a little differently. And right now, I just think Kentucky has a coaching problem. I think a lot of this goes on to coaching. It's been terrible coaching. Not getting this team prepared, not getting the team up for these games. And like I said, man, I love Mark Stoops. I like the dog in him. I like Vince Morrow. I love Liam Cohen. I like the offense he brought 2 years ago, and I think that he still wants to bring that. I just think Stoops is holding back a little bit. Brad White, I'm a little skeptical of. Just the Brad White thing is, everybody talks about how good Kentucky's defense is. Everybody talks about how good Kentucky's defense is. I just don't think it's been that great the last 3 or 4 years. The way Kentucky's built right now, we should be running kind of like a Tennessee offense. I'm not saying that fast, but we should be throwing the ball all over the place because we got the receivers. Devin Leary, I just don't think he gets enough angle on his passes. He has like a record number of tip passes this year. It just we need to be playing for shootouts on offense and hoping to God the defense can just hold up, make a few stops a game. That's where Kentucky should be at right now. And I didn't really finish what I was saying earlier. Look at Kirby Smart. He built that team with the players he had, run the ball, playing defense. I want to get back to this for this reason. Run the ball, defense. Then he started realizing Saban was throwing the ball, running the ball, and playing defense. A lot of these defensive coaches, their plan is on offense, hold the ball, limit the possessions. That's all you want to do. I'm not saying that's right, but Kentucky does not have everything that the Georgias and Alabamas have. I think Stoops has shown we can get there. But Kirby Smart even looked himself in the mirror and was like, just like Saban did, was like, hey, it's time to change. You can't just ground and pound and play good defense. You need to have a passing game too. And I think that's why Kirby Smart has got Georgia at back-to-back national championships and looking at a third national championship in 3 years. That's my belief. You're more than likely to leave. More than welcome, leave a comment down there. But just do me a favor, hit a thumbs up. If you ain't already done so, hit the subscribe button. And Kentucky Neck Beard is out. Peace.